Alright, so for this next video, we're going to take a look at the ComboBox control. So to get this started, I'm going to go ahead and make a ComboBox program. So I'm going to call this ComboBox demo.java. And we'll go ahead and start setting up the code to make this a JavaFX application. So we're going to go ahead and have our usual imports. Bring in the application class. We'll bring in the stage. And we'll bring in the scene. I'm also going to go ahead and bring in a layout as well as two controls. One, the combo box, and a second is going to be a label that I want to be able to manipulate in some way based on the options inside of this combo box. So we'll do an import for a layout. We'll use the VBox. We'll have another two imports for a combo box and for a label. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and create the header for our class and then start setting up the body. This will be a public class ComboBox demo. This will extend the application class. We'll have a main method which takes our arguments, like a call to the launch method, and then we'll start working on the start method. So the public void start, we'll have our stage, primary stage, and then in here we'll go ahead and create the code to implement our JavaFX application. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and set up is going to be the combo box that I'm going to use. So to make sure that we fully understand what exactly a combo box is, if you think about any time that you've had to fill out a form, say a form online, there's typically going to be a field where you might specify something like, say, maybe the country that you're from, or if you're specifically from the US, you'd specify the state that you're from. And usually the way that that works is that it gives you a drop-down menu, and you'd select one of a couple of different options from inside of that drop-down menu. That's what's known as a combo box. So that's the thing that we're going to be creating for this. So typically when you see a combo box like this, that's going to be a combo box of a bunch of strings. So to specify the different individual items we're going to put into our combo box, this is going to be very similar to what we do for our list views and also for things like the observable list and the array list. We're going to use those angular brackets and then specify the data type of the individual items. So this is going to be a combo box of strings. The name for this, I'm just going to call it combo box in all lowercase. This is going to be equal to a new combo box. We'll have our diamond operator to infer the type as string, and then we'll have that pair of parentheses to indicate that we're calling the constructor method for the combo box. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is actually add in the items for this combo box. So we're going to go ahead and get it. We'll get the items in it, and then we're going to use that add all method. So very similar to what we do to our list views. And inside of this, I'm going to specify three items, which are going to be the three primary colors. So we're going to do red, green, and blue. Okay. We're going to use these three colors to modify the color of some text in a label that I'll create in just a moment. A couple of other things I'm going to go ahead and set up right now. One other thing is to make sure that we initially have this set to this red option. So the very first option, I want to go ahead and make sure that that's selected by default. So to do that, I'm going to get my combo box, and the method that I use to select a particular item in my combo box through my Java code, that method is going to be setValue. So you set value, and then we specify the item inside of it that we want to select. So we got to make sure that whatever we set it to, that matches one of the items that we put into our combo box. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is create a label. So let's call this label in lowercase. This will be equal to a new label. And for this one, this is just going to be some sample text. So I'll just put sample text right there. The only real purpose it's meant to serve here is to just show that change in color. Additionally, I'm going to go ahead and set the style for this. Since the only thing I'm concerned with is just a single property or single rule for this, which is related to the color of the text, I'm just going to use inline style to do this. It's fairly small and contained. use of CSS. So we'll have our FX text fill, and initially this is going to be set to red to match the value that we select from our combo box. And then I'll go ahead and make my VBox, my scene, and my stage. So our VBox, we'll give this 10 pixels of spacing between the combo box and the label, and then we'll go ahead and insert those two things into it. We'll go ahead and make our scene. This is equal to a new scene object. Take the VBox as the root, and then for the dimensions on this one, I'm going to go ahead and just do a width of 300 and a height of 100. Give it a little bit of spacing around the items that we're going to be displaying inside of it. And then we'll go ahead and set the stage. So we've got our primary stage dot set scene. Pass in that scene object. We'll set the title. This is a combo box demo. And then we'll go ahead and show the application window. Alright, so we'll go ahead and compile like that and run it just so we can see the layout of the combo box and the label. So we'll compile our combo box demo. We'll then go ahead and run it. Okay, so we can see right now we've got our sample text. We initially set it to red since we specified that one line of inline styling. We are initially selecting red in our combo box. If we click on it and open it up, we can see the other options. If I select one of these other options right now, we can change what's being selected, but it doesn't really affect the text in any way, since we haven't really established any kind of behavior whenever we change the item that's being selected in our combo box. So to go ahead and take care of that functionality for it, we'll go ahead and close this, come back over here. And the next thing I want to go ahead and do is right underneath where I've set up my combo box and my label, I want to go ahead and add a little bit of code to give the combo box some kind of functionality. And the way this is going to work is very similar to when we deal with things like our buttons, radio buttons, checkboxes, a couple of different controls that we've seen so far. So we're going to take the combo box. We're going to use that set on action method again. And right here, I'm going to go ahead and just use a lambda expression since the code that I want to use for this is very simple. So we're going to go ahead and just grab that event. We'll have our one single line. And for this one, what we want to do is just modify the style of a label to match whichever item we've chosen. And the way that we can do this is I can actually just include one single line where we're going to set the style. I'm going to include that pair of double quotes and specify the name of the rule, which is the FX text fill. I have my colon and my space, and then what I'm going to concatenate to this is I'm going to go ahead and actually just get the value that is in the combo box. So we're going to do our combo box dot get value. So this allows us to get whatever item is currently selected. So we'll just get the name red, green, or blue. And then to change this so that it matches with the style or the syntax for CSS, since the name itself is pretty much there already, I just need to make sure that this is in all lowercase to match the styling for CSS. So I'll just use the to lowercase method on the string that it's giving me. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save that. We'll go ahead and run this, and we can see that this is actually working the way that we intend for it to. So compile that. Run it. And so we've got our sample text set to red. I'll go ahead and open this, change it, and we can see that it changed to green whenever I selected the green item. Again, go to blue, see that it changes to blue. Come back up to red, and we can see that it changes to red. Okay, so this covers a pretty good amount of the functionality for it. One last thing I want to go ahead and do to this is also add another behavior to it. So one additional thing that I can do with my combo box is I can also set it so that instead of just having to pick one of the options in that drop-down menu, you can also make it so that the user can just type in any particular value that they want to. The way that you do that is you'll get the combo box and you're going to use a method called setEditable. This will take a boolean, we'll set this to true. By default it's false, hence why we don't have the ability to change that value to any custom value that we want. So we're going to change this to be true, and so now we can actually type in there and provide any value that we want. So we'll go ahead and save that. We'll come over here and we'll compile this and run it again. And so now this little option right here changes to a text field. If I open this up and select one of these items, we can change it accordingly. And as I change that, we'll still see the text changing. Okay. And then the other thing I can do now is actually type in one of the custom colors. So maybe I type in something like that plum color that we have. So I'll type in the name and then I'll push enter. And when I do that, it'll actually change the value of change the color of the text to match the value that was inside of that text field that comes with our combo box now. Okay, so one option is plum. There's some other colors you could try. One of the things to keep in mind if you do this is to make sure that you still match up with the syntax that it's expecting. So, for example, there are some colors that are essentially two words combined together, say like forest green. If you do it this way with the approach to setting the style that we've used so far, you're going to have to make sure that you don't include a space here, so just be one giant word, and then you can go ahead and set the text to something like that. So there's a little bit of a limitation with our current approach, but otherwise this essentially allows us to modify the color of the text to be any one of the named colors that we want to choose from. Okay, so this is going to wrap up everything for the combo box. For the next couple of videos, we'll go through some of the other advanced controls in JavaFX.